Hello, everybody, and hope all of you are taking care during this unprecedented COVID-19 epidemic. A very warm welcome to the Resolve the Unresolved Forum, presented by Panacea eBiz Consulting Group. We would on a regular basis have webinars, workshops, and panel discussions addressing various business issues. The purpose of webinars and seminars are to address and reflect on organization issues related to businesses. Let me clarify why we call it a resolved or unresolved. It has been observed that almost all businesses, small or big, we are aware of issues and areas within our own businesses which exist. But most of the time, we choose to ignore and live with it. It's very similar to our body. Knowing very well that we should take care of it, help to become it strong and powerful, but ignore it till it's too late. And we choose not to act, or at the last moment, do a quick fix. The same goes with businesses. So today's webinar focuses on people. People are most important assets. Let me introduce, today we have on a panel Mr. Ravinder Goyal and Mr. R. Gopal Krishna. Mr. Goyal, the founder of Panacea eBiz Consulting Group, himself a veteran in vocational skilling with 27 plus years of experience. He has a significant trajectory in terms of his contribution to the skilling ecosystem. He's a technology entrepreneur with 27 plus years of leadership experience in IT training and services industry, with consistent success in achieving the goals with extensive experience of building businesses. Mr. Goyal has evolved smart learning training methodology, which was well appreciated and bought most coveted National Golden Peacock Innovation Product and Services Award in 2002. Not only that, he has authored more than 1,000 plus motivational and inspirational quotes on various aspects of day-to-day business and social life. Mr. Goyal, I would say, is one of the few technology entrepreneurs who is always innovating to serve the larger mass of a country. Now let me introduce Mr. R. Gopal Krishna. Mr. Gopal Krishna is a co-founder at Dyna Talent Solution. Gopal is a well-established executive coach and has been mentoring leaders across industry. Gopal is an IIM Bangalore alumni and has over 3 decades of rich experience in the corporate sector. He has played leading roles at organizations to name a few, like Pure Associates, Manufactured Life Insurance, American Online, NS Startup, and Usha Consulting, to name a few. At present, he is associated with Unsolved as a partner consultant. Unsolved is a global organization consulting firm. Gopal will be facilitating today's session. May I ask Mr. Goyal to say a few words at the beginning of the session today. Please, Mr. Goyal.
Thank you, Sandeep. And hello, everyone. Hello, Gopalji.
Hello.
I must say hello to all entrepreneurs, though the participants are less, but yes, as this is our first initiative, we are beginning a new era. So hopefully people will gain out of it. I welcome you all on behalf of Panacea eBiz Consulting Group Forum Resolve the Unsolved. We will do a series of webinars, talks, debates in times to come, and not only will raise the issue, but will move towards finding the solutions. Retaining and managing key employees, however small or big the enterprise is, remains a challenge. In this context, I would like to quote Bhagavad Gita's Vavsaya Buddhi. In English, we call it occupational intellect. This intellect is reflected upon Arjuna by Krishna, whereas Krishna defined this as be in the present occupation you are doing and forget all other designations or profile you are carrying. Performing any task with multiple personalities traveling together generates conflicts within. The context I quoted this for promoters, entrepreneurs, and HR bigwigs that they should behave like a guardian for definite time, wherein they think exclusively for their key employees without putting business in their thoughts. Most of the time, whatever we are doing in business, the revenues, the business, the brand, those things remains the key issues. But when we are talking about human resource, we must have a dedicated time. Become a gardener who is enriching the soil for not immediate benefits, but nurturing it for the future. Despite your core interest of having more money coming in, you must understand that it is your key team who is enabling it. The next point is assessing whether the team on which you are relying is qualified, can achieve optimal level of performance and accomplishments, can develop strategies that aligns the company with your vision. You have to have complete monitoring of key team as you monitor your business revenues. Consider your people as revenue, and believe me, you will never ever miss out on them. Further, never recruit people in desperation. I have seen in my 30 years that people, the HR team, they have a pressure and they say, bring in the candidates, HR will do the training, and then probably will look into after 2-3 months if more are required. So we must not recruit people in desperation. The time and money you have invested in setting up and managing your business, invest quality time for recruiting people who can identify themselves with your goals. Our initiative eRecruit helps you in shortlisting the candidates through online assessments. But as a company, you know what you want. Spend more time with your HR and product team and identify the qualities, performance criteria, technical knowledge, generic skills, professional skills, and technical skills. Based upon this, develop an assessment criteria and use eRecruit to filter out candidates that are applying through various means. Once you are able to filter the candidates aligned to your company's benchmark, chances of failure or mismatch will be reduced significantly. My dear friends, managing human resource is an ongoing process. Never look at it as one-time job. As long as you want to remain in business, keep humans on top always. Have a happy journey, enjoy every bit of good or bad, learn from every mistake that you are committing or committed, but ensure that you are not repeating it. I welcome Gopal and then Sandeep, back to you to take this further. Thank you.
Thank you, Randarji.
Thank you, Mr. Goel. Gopal, it's over to you. Let's begin with the session and we will join you at a later stage. Please.
Okay, all right. Thank you. So let me start with sharing my screen here a little bit.
Gopal, your voice is not audible.
Okay, is it better now?
Yes.
Okay, so let me start with sharing. Is my screen visible now?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So Randarji, thanks for that wonderful introduction to the topic at hand. Our most important asset is people. The topic today is how do we get the best out of them. Now, it's not that it is only for the smaller enterprise that people are important. People are equally important for large enterprise, small enterprise, medium enterprise, and what have you. But especially in the context of the smaller organizations is what I'm going to be talking about today. And how do we get the best out of our people, right? If you look at what the headlines say, MSME has become a very popular term now, micro, small, medium enterprises. But in one sense, that really captures the essence of what a small enterprise is. So the headlines say there are 63 million SME MSMEs in the country. They've created more than 14.9 million new jobs per annum in 4 years. Largest provider of employment after agriculture. Employment tops 1100 lakhs people. These are all established, published results, news headlines that I'm talking about over here. Just to put the context straight about the kind of scale that we are really talking about, right? Now, the key people challenge, as Ravinderji also mentioned, and it's not just for large, for small, for all kinds of organizations, but especially for smaller organizations, it's more about retaining and managing key employees, which is the topic of what we're going to be talking about today. Retaining, I'm not talking about attracting, because I'm hoping that we have already attracted and we have a set of people. Whatever Ravinderji spoke about spending more time and not getting to hire as a knee-jerk reaction, but more thought-out process. I completely support that. As far as retaining talent is concerned, the big disadvantage that smaller organizations face is that we don't have budgets as large organizations. We can't pay the same kind of salaries. We can't give the same kinds of benefits. We can't give them the kinds of offices and things that larger organizations are capable of. Of course, now with work from home, all that stands negated anyway, but nevertheless. And about upskilling what we have. How do we get more from our existing people, without having to spend too much on it? And as far as upscaling goes, we had Honorable Prime Minister Modi say just 2 days back that the mantra to stay relevant is to skill, reskill, and upskill. So how do we really weave this into our people strategy so that we get more and better bang for the buck that we have? That's the whole idea of this presentation. At any point of time, you feel, you want to ask a question or point out an opinion or to state a fact, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask me that. I'm happy to talk about it more. So the solution is really changing from an owner mindset to a leader mindset. In smaller organizations, we always have this thing, "Bhai, main to malik, tum naukar." That is a mindset that we usually operate from. So the key solution to get more out of our people, to be able to retain and manage and upskill and get more out of people, is to change that mindset when it comes to being with our people, to change it from a Malik mindset to a leader mindset, which is essentially saying, in one sense, see, what is this owner thing? Owner is simply a title. It's a position. An owner as a title is very important when it comes to us, looking at legalities and filling forms and papers and so on and so forth, documents and so on and so forth. But when it comes to dealing with people, owner as a title or a designation or a position is not really something that is very effective. And that is where being a leader is a choice that we all have to make on an everyday basis. So are we operating from a owner mindset or a leader mindset when we talk to our people, when we deal with our people, when we get the best out of our people? The answer is very simple. It is only with a leader mindset that we can get the best out of our people. So that's a fundamental change in mindset that we need to have as we deal with our people. And that's, so I'm reminded here of, Chanakya Niti. Chanakya ji keh gaye, respect is earned. Respect is earned. Honesty is appreciated. ईमानदारी जो है उसको हमेशा सराहा जाता है. Trust is gained. विश्वास पाया जाता है. Loyalty is returned. निष्ठा हमेशा निष्ठा वापस की जाती है. So that's what Chanakya had said almost 2,200 years back, and to a large extent, what he said about human nature, manav pravriti is still true today. We might have, come 2,200 years, we might have come into the new millennium, but the fundamental nature of human beings remains very same. And therefore, what Chanakya said so many years back is still relevant today. And I would want to pick up from here, from this small bit of Chanakya Niti, to really look at what is the strategy that we can adopt to get more from our people. And I'm calling this Lao, वापस लाएं या लाएं, जैसे भी. Lao is essentially standing for loyalty, alignment, and ownership. What are these three terms? Loyalty, alignment, ownership. Loyalty is something that we are very well aware of. In the olden days, we used to have loyal family retainers. हमारे पास लोग होते थे कि भैया जो बचपन से हमारे घरों में काम करते हैं, आदमी बूढ़ा हो जाता है तब भी वहीं काम करता है. So that was the kind of loyalty that we were expecting from people. There were people who were, while they were, servants, but they were treated more as members of the family, and that was what generated that kind of loyalty. So that was one. Alignment and ownership. So the first one is about inspiring commitment, loyalty. How can we treat employees as family members? Because if we treat employees as family, and I'm not saying anything rocket science over here, all of us know this, ghar ki baat hai ye. Treating employees as family members definitely inspires commitment. What we lack in terms of resources, when we compare ourselves with larger organizations, is the fact that larger organizations are impersonal. Larger organizations are too big. They are very impersonal. You cannot stay in that organization and say कि हाँ भाई मेरा कोई अपनापा है, मैं किसी को जानता हूँ. At the end of the day, it is only between the manager and his people. But in a family-owned, in our own small organization, we have the opportunity to be treating employees as family members, to be able to walk across and have a chat with them. How often in a large organization does a person even get to see the head of the organization? For instance, if you were to look at an organization which is one of the largest organizations in the world today, Amazon, and Amazon has a very large presence in India. There have large numbers of people who are delivering goods for Amazon. Does any one of them ever have the ability or the chance or, to be able to meet Jeff Bezos? सवाल ही नहीं. Jeff Bezos is like, a million miles above. कोई चक्कर ही नहीं है, कुछ नहीं कर सकते. On the other hand, in a small organizations, it is always possible for us as owners and as leaders to be able to walk up to our people, have a chat with them, and that is what inspires commitment. That is what leads to loyalty, and that is something that is in our hands. What Jeff Bezos can only dream of using his money, we can actually do without money if we treat our employees as family members, and that's one of the lessons that I am talking about. The other one, any questions or any observations, any statements that anybody else might want to make over here? Let's.
I think loyalty is very important. Loyalty is very important.
Ravinderji?
Yeah, I think you see, despite treating people as a family member, then sometimes the personal goals and personal issues becomes more important. So it depends on person to person how they take things together.
Correct. Beautiful. Wonderful. Thank you. The other lesson that I'm talking about is helping employees grow. So one of the mindset issues that I spoke about earlier is that I look at an employee as, भाई ये तो नौकर है, इसको मैं सैलरी देता हूँ, इसको तनख्वाह इसलिए देता हूँ ताकि ये नौकरी करे. जितनी मैं तनख्वाह देता हूँ उतनी वो नौकरी करता है वो. तो उसमें मतलब क्या है, मैं उसके लिए आगे और क्या कर सकता हूँ? The mindset instead that I'm talking about is talking to the employees, getting their perspective, helping them grow. Each individual, each employee or whoever, each human being wants to grow in one way or the other, and in many ways actually. And growth is not just a matter of increase in salary. Growth is also, people sometimes have a lot of pride in their skill, in their hunar, and how can we motivate them to improve on that skill, on upgrading that skill, on improving that talent that they have, and that is also a growth for the individual. And this is a line that I feel a lot of times that we miss out as owners, which is how do we as owners invest in helping employees grow. And it is not about only training them and sending them for workshops or anything of that. It is also about having a chat with them, advising them कि भाई तू और क्या कर सकता है, कैसे अपने आप को improve कर सकता है. I was really surprised when I was hearing Prime Minister Modi, and he gave this example of a carpenter trying to build a chair, and he said, भाई कुर्सी आज की तारीख में तुम बनाने चले हो, अच्छा बना लेते हो, बहुत बढ़िया है, बट कल के लिए तुम क्या कर सकते हो? क्या तुम दूसरे तरीके का कुर्सी बना सकते हो और डिजाइन्स बना सकते हो, जो डिजाइन विदेश में बनते हैं उस तरह का यहाँ बना सकते हो? एंड एट द नेक्स्ट लेवल अपस्किल टू से कि भाई कुर्सियां तो बना ली, अब क्या मतलब ऑफिस का पूरा ऑफिस डिजाइन कर सकते हो क्या? अभी तक तो खाली कुर्सी और टेबल डिजाइन किया, क्या ऑफिस डिजाइन भी कर सकते हो? दैट इज अपस्किलिंग, एंड आई लाइक दैट एग्जांपल क्वाइट अ लॉट. एंड इट्स अबाउट सेइंग देयरफॉर that how can I help my employee grow, and if I show that interest in his growth, it is essentially building trust with him, and building trust, inspiring commitment. These are all factors that help us get more out of our people and get things out of them for longer. The third point that I really wanted to make was sharing the big picture. Sharing the big picture is about saying कि भैया धंधे में क्या हो रहा है, क्या मुश्किलात आ रहे हैं, कहाँ प्रॉब्लम्स हो रही हैं, कैसे हमारे पेमेंट्स रुके हुए हैं. Sharing a little bit of the kinds of struggles, and not just struggles, also vision for the future, helps us to get closer to our employees, helps to share a perspective which tells them also कि हाँ भाई ऐसा नहीं है कि मतलब हमें नहीं पता है, हमें भी पता है कि आगे क्या है विजन, कैसे बढ़ना है, कितना बढ़ना है, कौन सी दिशा में जाना है, ये सब हमें भी पता है. And so they are invested in the future of the organization, and that creates further engagement. Normally we say अरे यार ये सब क्या बताना है, ये हमें पता है बस ठीक है, क्या इससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है. But the point that I'm trying to make is there is a big difference when people realize that they have a shared stake in the future of the company, and that is what I'm talking about: loyalty, alignment, ownership. Any questions, any observations? I'm happy to kind of take this before I move into the next, which is about essentially simple steps on how we can ensure peace.
I think
Gopal, if I can intervene over here.
Yep.
And just request you to enhance a bit on helping employees grow.
Huh.
Like you had a very valid point, I do agree. And we have seen that in organizations like building the trust and upskilling is very important. And you shared a very nice example. So there might be sometimes a question comes, which we have seen among promoters. How do I handle upskilling? It's fine, I know upskill. But how do I go about doing it?
Wonderful. Thanks, Sandeep, for raising that. In fact, I was having a chat with a training head from a fairly large organization, multinational based. It's a Netherlands-based organization. They have about 700 people in India. Netherlands-based because they've just been taken over by a Netherlands-based organization. In India, there were about 700 people. And the training head, I was talking to him, and he said, sir, the problem is कि अभी मेरे पास ट्रेनिंग का कोई बजट नहीं है, मगर बगैर ट्रेनिंग के हम अपस्किल भी करना चाहते हैं, अब कैसे करें? So now if a large organization, and I consider it a large organization because if they've been bought over by a Dutch parent, then obviously they have a certain amount of scale and money. But my point is that this is a problem that a lot of organizations, even larger organizations, will face. Where do I take out the money in these COVID times to be able to upskill, reskill, or do whatever for my people? And so if they are having that problem, we were always having that problem as smaller entrepreneurs, and it's a problem that we need to solve very creatively. So how do we do that? So my retort back to this training manager was, so I said, sir, you look at it in a very creative way, because what you need is that people should get trained, and you also want that, you also know that you don't have the budget for it. So the only way, therefore, is how do you inspire them to improve themselves on their own time and their own money, and commit it back to the organization. And if you can think of ways to do that, then you've hit the nail on the head. Similarly, for the smaller organizations, for all of us, part of the challenge is to see how can we motivate our employees to invest in their own growth and development for their own future. Of course, their future and my future is all tied up if they stay on longer. But the key is about how do I inspire them to invest in improving themselves without me having to necessarily contribute in terms of monies for improving. On the other hand, I can provide opportunities as an employer. I can provide them ideas. I can provide them alternatives. Right? Those are things that I can provide. And as long as I can give them those things and help them to look up and improve themselves, because at the end of the day, if a man improves himself, first of all, he's doing it for himself, only then for whatever else that comes ahead. And so if we can encourage our people to, in their own time and at their own cost, improve themselves, and use that as something that we can use to improve our own output also.
Right.
I think that's really the trick there.
I wanted Mr. Goyal's comment also at this juncture. I think with Mr. Goyal's experience specific to helping in training initiatives, Mr. Goyal
Right.
This is the biggest problem I've seen with the companies. Like in last 27 years, we have worked with more than 800 companies where they used to come and recruit our students. The biggest problem I've seen that the companies take them as a commodity.
Correct.
So the companies, they take freshers from the middle level as a commodity. They don't take them as a part of the company.
Correct.
So actually, they are not inspired from the beginning, the way they have been taken in and the way they have been treated in the initial round.
Correct.
And top of that, you see, when you need upskilling, that means you are doing something new. When anything for anything, or maybe the upgradation of the system, infrastructure, or the product, anything. I mean, the communication, I think, is the key where companies do lack transferring that vision and then probably and
absolutely.
When the employees feel that probably I used to come at 10 and going at 7, there won't be any change. I probably my life will not change, or maybe I will get new burdens and instead of living at 7, I will live at 9. And you see, the company is not communicating properly. That's what I've felt. And
correct.
Number of times we used to handle students with the feedback, I don't want to work with this company. And we tell them it is the new environment, you'll get acquainted it and you'll come to know more about it. The company is good. So that confidence what is expected from the HR, we used to give them. So I think we must have a proper communication channel. That's the key issue of what we feel.
Wonderfully stated. Absolutely. And you've seen a lot of organizations from fairly close, people who come to recruit people at the institute. So very, very valid observation. Very, very valid. Finally, I'd like to kind of just present a simple guide to LAO, which is, like I said, leadership. Loyalty, alignment, ownership. The first one is about communicate, which is exactly what Ravinderji you were talking about. Communicate more, over communicate about results. What direction are we taking? कैसे जा रहे हैं? कहाँ जाएंगे? कैसे करेंगे? इस साल क्या कितने बड़े हैं, अगले साल कितने बड़े होंगे, और कौन सा प्रोडक्ट हम बनाने की सोच रहे हैं, किस डायरेक्शन में जाएंगे, क्या करेंगे. So the more we communicate, the more we build bridges with our employees and help them understand that the future lies over here, not anywhere else, right? So that's number one. Number two is about sharing rationale for decisions. Very often the decisions that we take as owners, are seen by employees as पता नहीं ऐसा क्यों कर रहे हैं, पता नहीं ऐसा क्यों कर दिया. So sometimes when that question arises, it might be a good idea for us to share our perspectives कि ऐसा हमने क्यों किया, ये order हमने क्यों refuse कर दिया. A little bit of sharing that rationale will go a long way in building trust and credibility for ourselves as leaders. Demonstrate expertise and allow them also to do so. Demonstrate expertise essentially is saying, भाई मेरी काबिलियत है, मैं आगे से लीड करता हूँ, मैं पीछे बैठ करके बातें बयान नहीं करता, मैं आगे आकर के खुद अपनी काबिलियत, मैं उम्मीद रखता हूँ कि मेरे सारे एम्प्लॉइज भी यही चीज करेंगे. All of them I will give them an opportunity to showcase their talent, expertise, and give them an opportunity, and I'll allow them to do that. When they express that creativity, when they do that, it also will happen that sometimes might fail, but allowing them to have that failure is allowing them to learn and grow. And that is something that we can definitely provide as small business owners. The other ones are about getting to know your. Sure.
Mohan, it's only interested over here and get your perspective also as well as Goel's. You share a very valid point, sharing the rationale for decision making and demonstrate expertise and allow them to do so. I've also seen most of the time these two factors are very critical to not only motivate, but if I'm right, to retain key employees within the organization.
Correct.
Correct. Would you be able to slightly expand on this? Because I think this may be a very critical issue. And after you, I would request Mr. Goel to also add some value to this point.
Sure. Would you want me to quickly finish the rest and then come back to this?
You can. You can.
Yeah.
Please.
Because I am just looking at the time and we are kind of stretching on time here. So I'll quickly go through this and I'll take this and provide a little bit more perspective, at the end of it.
Sure.
So get to know your people and their perspectives, which is essentially about saying, do you even know who is it that you're working? Who are their family members? Now, like I said earlier, for large organizations and their managers, it is not possible for them to know who their people are. But in smaller organizations, we have smaller teams. We have a very wonderful opportunity to get to know our people, to know their families, to know their dreams, to know their aspirations, and to help them with things like that, to be able to change their perspectives, to be able to afford them new perspectives. That's something that we can very well do, and that's something that we should do as owners of small businesses. Enhance their capability, like I said, and enhancing their capability is also about encouraging them to improve themselves, giving them opportunities to try out that new skill, saying that, hey, as you try something new, you will fail sometimes, there will be some problems, but we will absorb that. I am happy to support you and things like that. Celebrate teams' results and successes, which is essentially about saying, कि भाई, normally we normally share mithai ka dabba during Diwali, right? Mithai ka dabba during Diwali is one part of it, but I am saying for every little success that every team member has in a big way, can we celebrate success? Can we be seen as leaders celebrating success of our teams with our people, whether it is getting a new order, whether it is executing something on time, anything, whether it is somebody who has stayed the whole night to kind of meet a deadline, whatever it is. But if we can make celebration a part of what we do, then equally during times when things are not going well, we will have the support of our team members and them stretching to make sure that we don't fall down. Highlight and recognize individual contributions. It goes along with celebrate, like I said. And finally, being fair and consistent. whether it is between departments, whether it is between teams, whether it is between individuals, whether it is between groups, to just make sure that we are as leaders fair and consistent. So it doesn't happen कि यार उस फैक्ट्री वालों को तो ये सब मिल जाता है, हम लोगों को ये नहीं मिलता. You don't have that kind of a talk amongst your people. And so just be fair and consistent, and that's a standard practice for any good leader to have. And so that's essentially brings me to the end of my presentation, Sandeep. And now, I mean, that we've kind of, we can take a look at how much time we have and how we can want to take this further.
Some time. And if there are any queries from people who are participating,
Gopal, can you, yeah, that's great.
I think I wanted to just get Mr. Gold's perspective to the two parameters which I raised at that point of time in terms of sharing the organization vision is very, very important, which Gopal pointed out. At the same time, encouraging them to lead, take on new initiatives, and encourage them to go along. So if you share something from your way of training people and mentoring.
Yeah, I probably there are two things. One is that the person is self-motivated, and he comes with a different background.
Right.
There are people who are totally frustrated. I mean, they feel that they are much better than other people, and they are not being able to achieve anything. Then there's the third category of they are living a moderate life. Whatever they get, they are happy in that. They don't look for much from the company, and they don't deliver more even to the company. What has been told, they do, and they finish up. They are not emotionally connected with the company. So actually, the company it's very difficult to judge with the one stick. That you really have to analyze people who you can bring forward, people who can become part of you, people who can share your vision, people who can share your pain. And when it happens that most of the time people do deviate, despite your best, they deviate. And it is only that how far you will be able to keep a life connection with them. And let me assure you that like I handled a team of more than 300 people, and we had a network of around 50 centers across India. When despite your best, there will be a disconnect. People will feel left out. People will feel bad with the decisions. People will feel not aligned what you are doing. But ultimately, yes, you need to understand there is people are under two different rules. You have to see the company, you have to see the employees, you have to see who is lying in the current scenario. When you really cannot feel a person was lying 10 years back or 5 years back, and I must continue with him just because that he was good to me. Because the scenario has changed. You may probably back to the people and move ahead. The company must not stop because of people. And that's what I feel. Although they must do their best, the company also must not stop because of people. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. Gopal,
Yes.
I just wanted to have you share very, very practically implementable suggestions for businesses to motivate and upskill their employees and how to get best out of it. At any point of time, like most of the time, we have also felt that getting the right candidate when I'm recruiting, I'm talking about getting candidate and recruiting. That also plays a very important role.
Yes. So, like Ravinderji had mentioned initially, the first step is about making sure that we invest enough time while we are recruiting to get the guys who we feel have the right attitude to be able to, grow and to be able to contribute to our small organization. So the first step lies there. And I have only picked up, after that step saying कि अगर भाई हमारे पास आदमी आ गए हैं अब उनके साथ क्या किया जाए? How do we manage them? How do we motivate them? How do we encourage them? How do we upskill them? How do we get more out of them without having the benefit of spending the kind of money that large corporations would have in terms of salary, perks, and so on and so forth. But the key thing, like I said, is something that we have is the personal touch. It's the if we can show consistency in the way that we deal with our people, show empathy to the problems that they have, give them a path for growth and development, encourage them with ideas. I think that is something that we can uniquely do, which large corporations will find very hard to match.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you very much for participating. Thank you, Mr. Goel. Thank you, Gopal.
Thank you.
It was wonderful listening to both of you, understanding how it can be very, very constructive for organizations, whether big or small, in terms of nurturing and motivating and enhancing the employee capabilities, which can further strengthen each organization as they grow and expand. We would be having such seminars, webinars on a regular basis. Shortly, we would be announcing our next webinar for the next weekend, and we'll announce it by Monday. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for all your patience and your participation. Jai Hind.